Welcome to the Leadership Art Podcast. I'm your host, Art Robbins, and it's great to have you join us. The Leadership Art Podcast features insightful conversations with industry leaders who lead with purpose. And our mission is to inspire you to be the best leader you can be. And today's guest is Mindy Zemrak, one of the most successful casting producers in television, a two-time Emmy nominee and longtime supervising casting producer for Shark Tank. Mindy has been discovering the entrepreneurs and stories that captivate millions of viewers since the show's very first season. Now in its 18th season, Shark Tank has become a cultural phenomenon, inspiring countless entrepreneurs and changing the way people think about innovation, pitching, and investing. Beyond Shark Tank, Mindy has also cast many more hit shows, including American Idol, The Bachelorette, and Pop Culture Jeopardy. And through Cast Labs by MZ, she brings that same instinct for finding compelling stories to entrepreneurs, brands, and creators. Mindy, it's great to have you on Leadership Art. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I am too, and our audience is filled with existing and aspiring leaders. We have many entrepreneurs, and I think they want to know all the ins and outs about Shark Tank. So how can they become friends and portfolio companies of all these sharks out there?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I've been on the show. I've been working in casting on the show since season one. I've been leading the casting team for over a decade now. And we usually cast the show. We cast year round, technically, so anyone can apply online. Right now, if they want to, they can go to abc.com/Shark Tank. But certainly our active casting season is usually January through about end of April. And that's when we're actively going through submissions. We're doing open casting calls across the country. We're at trade shows scouting. So there's various ways that we come in contact with entrepreneurs. But if you're really impatient and you want to get your submission in now, you can go online and apply anytime. There's a very short form, pretty straight to the point. Then you have to wait until the beginning of the year.
And patience is a necessity.
Patience is a necessity for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but certainly we have over 15 to 20,000 applications that we have to review every season. So
Oh
it takes
my.
us a long time, and not everyone gets a phone call, but nonetheless, it's a testament that entrepreneurship is very alive and well in our country.
Yeah, that's very encouraging to hear. And I think the process you described is actually how we met because you were doing, I guess, a scouting event at Chapman University at the Leatherby Entrepreneur Center there. And
Yeah,
we ran
so
into each other.
Yeah, so this past year we've been doing, we call them college events, college days for Shark
Okay.
Tank. So we will reach out to various colleges. So we did a bunch of those in the past, but we're really kind of ramping things up within the college communities and universities now moving forward because there's such innovation at that level happening with the current students. But it's not just limited to students, it's faculty, alum, staff that's within that community. We went to Pepperdine, we went to
Mhm.
USC, UCLA, Chapman, Wharton. We reached out to HBCUs in the South and NYU and UT. So we have a lot of colleges within our zeitgeist, but certainly Chapman was a great event. We had a really incredible day.
It's great to hear the emphasis on colleges because I've personally been doing a lot of work with the colleges as a mentor and a judge. And so many of them have established entrepreneurship centers, competitions, even majors and minors in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. And it's really becoming a part of the mainstream now. The thought about, oh, I have to go into corporate and kind of climb the ladder to, I get to a point before I can even conceive of entrepreneur. That's ancient history. Now,
Yeah,
you have people entering these colleges that already have entrepreneur experience. They've taken the lemonade stand to the next level.
it's wild because when we started on the show 18 years ago, we started casting season one. I think it was in 2008 potentially. And I remember at the time, because I went to film school, I'm not a business major or anything like that. I had worked on various shows. And they're like, hey, we're going to work on this business show. And I was like, what's equity? I had no idea. I was clueless.
This is a totally new type of reality show, right?
Yeah.
Mark Burnett show. He's done reality, but never did anything
Yeah,
I
it
really like
was is
this. Yeah.
that with Burnett, he had done what his very first show was called Eco Challenge, and we did a revamp of it that I got the opportunity to work on in Fiji in 2019. But that was his bread and butter. Then he developed Survivor and then obviously The Voice and whatnot. But when it came to and The Apprentice, which I also worked on, but when it came to Shark Tank, what's interesting that a lot of people don't realize is he didn't develop it, he just brought it to the States. So it was
Mm.
actually started in Japan called Dragon's Den.
Oh,
Then it went to the
interesting.
UK and Canada, known as Dragon's Den. And then Sony bought the rights here. Burnett started working his magic, and then ABC decided to air it. And so there's three giant companies that are involved at this point. But yeah, to your point, nothing at that point. They had seen people had seen The Apprentice, but that was more of a challenge type show with project managers and whatnot. But this was truly the running joke back then was who at this point because not ABC didn't pick it up initially, but a lot of people thought, who at this point, after they go work a full day at work, wants to come home and watch a show about working in business? Now it took a minute. The little show that could eventually found its legs and
Mhm.
whatnot. But first season, I think we were only 8 episodes. Second season, we went up a little bit, but it was a rocky little road to get there. But
Yeah.
certainly, once we found our footing around season four, and then we had Mark Cuban as a full-time shark at that point, like it
Was
really, it took off.
was
And
that when you became the cultural icon, like from season 4
season three
on?
and four, we saw the rocket ship start to really
Mhm.
kind of take off, and
Yeah.
then it didn't really stop. And to your
Wow.
point, back then, when I was in college, certainly there weren't entrepreneurship programs or universities or centers. It was almost looked down upon. There was a stigma. You don't go out and start your own business. That's crazy. But I always remind everyone that's literally what our country was built on,
Yep.
is immigrants coming to America to find a better life and start businesses. And that's what we're still doing today. So it's really cool because what started as this little show that not many people believed in eventually took over. Now it's become part of mainstream media, pop culture, terminology. It's
It is.
referenced
It's
on
part
all
of our
kinds of
vocabulary. It's part of our,
yeah,
yeah,
and a lot of, to
exactly.
your point, there's a lot of not just colleges and universities that have their own pitch programs, but elementary schools. I've had 5-year-olds pitch me at this point, and I'm like, when I was 5 years old, I was probably outside playing in the dirt. Like I wasn't coming up with business ideas, but it's a testament
And
to
now
what
you have them working in 3D printing labs, right?
I
Designing
know,
their
it's
own
wild.
toys.
But I think it's a testament to how our country and our nation has accepted it. And certainly every year, like just like the stock market and just like the economy up and down. And when COVID hit, like our show in 2008, 2009 was right at the top of the economic crash. And, then
Right,
it's
true.
up, went up, but then you
Mhm.
always see it. Same with COVID. COVID was weird because we saw a crash with some industries and
Mhm.
some businesses, but then others just completely took off and exploded. So it's really cool to have a seat within this zeitgeist that I'm in of what's trending, what's up and coming, what people are responding to and whatnot. But then you have 5-year-olds and you have 80-year-olds. And that's the cool thing about my job and working on the show is there's no rhyme or reason. You could be 5 years old, you could be 85 years old. Doesn't matter your socioeconomic background, where if you just have an aha moment and you put your head down and you do the work, you could literally build something that gets acquired like Poppy did for $2 billion by Pepsi. It's wild, but
Yeah,
it's a testament.
this is a true manifestation of free enterprise. There's one thing I'd just like to rewind for a second. When you talked about that season 3 and 4 time frame where it really became this cultural phenomenon, the trajectory took off. I'm always interested in people's individual journeys like yours and the whole Shark Tank team. How do you deal with that? Because I've worked with many entrepreneurs, and this is a common point in the successful entrepreneur's life is they have no idea what they're holding
Right.
necessarily. They're being driven by their passion, their purpose, their mission, and then something happens. Right. And it does take off. And then they look at it and say, wow, we have a cultural phenomena here. We have something that's truly viral. And then everything changes. Is that actually what happened to you all? And as a management team, as a leadership team, how do you rein that in and take control of it and develop it to realize its full potential?
The cool thing is like some shows will overnight just pop off. We were like a slow burn. So you
Hmm.
could almost see it happening in real time of, oh, damn, our numbers went up. Oh man, they're going, okay, all right. For us, it was an interesting perspective because you could almost see it unfolding in front of you versus just an explosion over your night. And you're like, wait a minute, hold on. So that was interesting because you're able to have a more focused, lasered POV of what's working, what's not, how do we handle this? From a casting perspective, it went from, oh, we would see maybe 200 pitches at an open call to the next year we went to Miami and we saw over 800 in a day.
Wow.
And so for us, it was, oh, wow. And since then, our numbers haven't dwindled in terms of casting. We're still having 15,000 to 20,000 applications this year in Philadelphia. At our open casting call, I think we had like over 600 or 700 pitches in one day. And I'm only traveling with a team of 5. We don't have a big team. It's a lot to handle and manage and get through, but also you just do it. That's kind of how my motto is. I'm from Maine, born and raised, and my family just kind of taught me growing up of like, you just put your head down and do the work.
Do the
That's how
work.
you succeed.
At some point, it sounds in the very early stage, the challenge was finding the talent that would
Oh,
be
yes.
interesting. And then it gets to the point where that's no longer an issue. It's filtering the
Yes,
talent.
correct. Yeah, early seasons, we would, in 2008, you barely had businesses on the internet still. And there was no social media. Facebook had just been created a couple years prior. So no businesses were like, I couldn't just scroll on TikTok because TikTok didn't even exist back then. But yeah, then it used to be more like cold calling and just picking up a phone book and like, all right, where's this and whatnot, and scouring and whatnot. But then to your point now, it's literally just filtering. We certainly do still recruit on our own. So we'll go to trade shows, I'll walk the floor, I'll talk to various business owners there. But also I can just scroll on TikTok at night in the off season. And if I see something that catches my eye, I literally will screenshot it and I'll send them an email during the casting season. So we're still recruiting. It's just in a different modern day way now. But yeah, we definitely have our work cut out for us when we're sifting through and filtering thousands of applications. It's no easy feat.
But I could just tell that you enjoy it
Oh, yes.
just from the way, the energy in this conversation, right? You wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
No, I would not because it's the best. I work on a ton of shows and they all have their little place in my life and my enjoyment. But the thing about Shark Tank is you're actually helping people realize their dreams and their journeys. And whether they get a deal or not, it's still playing a little part because even if they get a deal or if they get an offer and they turn down the offer because it's not something that they're interested in, everyone has that moment where their sales go up from the show. We call it the Shark Tank factor. When we want people to come in and strike a deal and hope that works, not everyone does, and that's fine. That's true life. But at the end of the day, when you see someone who's gone from, oh, I met Mindy at an open casting call to, oh, I'm actually airing on Shark Tank and my sales did $1 million overnight, that's insane. And when I'm walking down the grocery store or any store at this point, I'm like, they were on Shark Tank, they were on Shark Tank. Oh, they applied. It's all I know, but it's the best show to be part of because you're helping the American dream, you're helping people realize everything, and there's no better feeling than saying, "Oh my gosh, look at them take off to levels that they didn't even expect."
Yeah. And I guess just being on it is extremely positive. You don't have to get a deal in order to be successful. Obviously, you have the people that get deals and are insanely successful, right? Like a Bombas or a
Yeah.
Scrub Daddy, right? I guess those are the iconic ones. But then there was one with a spike ball. And
Oh, yes.
I only know of this because I see it on the beach every time I go, and people are having a blast with it.
Yep.
And I guess they got a deal on air, but they didn't get a deal after the fact, but they still persevered and
Absolutely.
became a successful company, right? And
Yeah, and that happens quite often. We obviously want people to close their deals, but that's literally any company that comes on, even if they don't get an offer, or if they get an offer and they walk away. A great example was Long Table Pancakes. Samuel came in a couple years ago and he made popcorn flour pancakes and he did not get an offer. He did not get any offers. He did $1 million in sales overnight after he aired.
Yeah.
And he didn't
Well,
expect that, but it's crazy
it
what
happens.
you do.
On a personal note, I go to this place here in Orange County to do my hair and pedicures. I don't know what my audience thinks about my grooming, but and anyway, the place is called Hammer and Nails.
Yes.
And my hairdresser, who's wonderful, I've been going to her for over 10 years, she said, "Oh, we were on Shark Tank."
Yep.
And I said, "You were?" And I checked out the episode. They didn't get a deal.
Nope.
Michael Elliott, a brilliant
Yep.
entrepreneur, and they're insanely successful. They're in this very specialized niche,
Yeah.
and they've done very well. And I think the Shark Tank episode, frankly, contributed to that.
Yeah, and Michael's an incredible human being and entrepreneur, and he's doing very well. But yeah, it's a testament again to that entrepreneurship is alive and well. And whether you get a deal or not, I tell everyone, don't put all your ducks in the Shark Tank basket because also not many will actually get on that apply. And but you just never know what'll happen.
Yeah. So, what are the lessons? Again, we have entrepreneurs listening to all this and say it may not necessarily be Shark Tank, but these days, people are very focused on putting together good pitches and they're getting in front of investors who claim to be extremely busy and extremely impatient. And they're subject to the 3-minute pitch. Well, what would you say are the key lessons that you've seen about what entrepreneurs should think about when they're pitching? How do they capture an investor's attention early? How do they retain that attention?
It might sound cliche, but if you can't pitch your product in 60 seconds or less, you're not ready. Because people will turn their hearing off within 60 seconds. They're going to know, like with us on Shark Tank and even the sharks, you'll see it. Yes, they'll ask questions, but you know within the first 30 to 45 seconds, does this catch my attention? Am I going to continue to listen? And now more than ever with the younger demos who attention span is getting chopped up with TikTok and everything like that, it's getting harder and harder. So I would say the biggest lesson is make sure that you practice and you don't add fluff that you don't need. You should have an opening line that is really attention grabbing, that is going to suck me in, something that I can relate to. For instance, if you're pitching like unicorn cupcakes or something, I'm making
Mhm.
this up, obviously. But within the first 10 seconds, I should hear something out of your mouth that is like, wait, do you love cupcakes that are delicious and beautiful? Oh my gosh, yes, I do. Versus,
Mhm.
hey, I started this brand when I was 17 years old. You will work up to that. You'll get to
Right.
that. But you need that opening catch, eye-catching line, whether you're in a business boardroom or if you're on TikTok or if you're at Sam's Club or Costco trying to get customers to stop by and taste and test your product. You really need to be able to, in that first opening line, catch someone's attention and then hold on to it.
That opening line,
Yeah.
should it be focused on the problem? Should it be focused on the
It should be
solution? Should
focused.
it be focused on the uniqueness
It
or
should be focused on the problem. If you start it with the problem and then someone's, yes, I have that problem, they're going to want to listen no matter what. Okay, what do you have? And then at least then after those 10 seconds, you've hooked them a little bit more. Then you go in with the solution. Then you move into what makes it unique. Because then you're going to have their attention and they're going to stand around for a little bit longer. So it's really making sure that you can build up and then problem solution and then what makes me different and unique, and then you can go into the story. But again, it needs to be succinct, because what I tell everyone is, imagine you're in an elevator. If you're in an elevator and you're going from the top floor to the bottom, if you can't pitch it within that amount of time, within again a minute, you're not ready. And also, don't make it too confusing. If you can pitch this to your grandmother and she can understand it, great. If grandma can't understand it, you got to simplify it more, because simplifying is really, at this stage, really important to get your message across and hook someone immediately.
no, that's great advice. And when you're prepping the candidates to get in front of the sharks, is that part of the prep session where you're
Well, we don't prep them. So,
you don't prep them at all. You
no,
just
not
say
necessarily.
show up at 1:35 and
No, there's that's
you're gonna have 2 minutes to talk to us.
no, that's there's a secret sauce to Shark Tank, and we're not allowed to talk about the secret
Oh,
sauce.
okay, okay.
But yeah.
I don't want you to talk about the secret sauce. My guests would appreciate it, but you don't know.
They got to
I don't.
apply for Shark Tank and then you see what happens.
Okay, so when we're seeing on air what's happening, is that the actual length of the pitch, or you're editing it down?
Yeah, we have to edit it down in real time. Those pitches, like any sort of board meeting or investor meeting, they last anywhere from probably 30 minutes to an hour. But our shortest pitch was about 17 minutes, and our longest was 2.5 hours. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
cutting it down because obviously there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of stuff that America won't understand or isn't really relevant. So we cut it down to a 9 to 12 minute segment for airing.
Okay, got it. No, I think people have always wondered about that because
Oh
they're
yeah, no,
thinking, oh
there's
my God,
a lot they
they're
don't tell
talking
you.
about numbers and valuations and we're in a
And that goes
negotiation
on
and
for a lot longer than you would think. But yeah.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What role does selling yourself play in all this?
A lot. You have to sell yourself. You have to be able to sell your company because Barbara says it all the time on our show. She will invest in an entrepreneur almost more than she'll invest in the product because she
Okay,
can
I've
spot a
seen that.
hungry, passionate entrepreneur who has street smart. She's been known a couple times to not be a fan of people who have gone to the top universities, which again, it doesn't matter what type of university or if you never even went to a university. Barbara just happens to prefer street smart individuals who are passionate and hustlers. That's just what she resonates with. Mark, when he was on the show, if you had a good product and it was proven sales and had good numbers and he sees a need for it, he'll invest in it. Mr. Wonderful, he's all over the place. So every shark is different, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to sell yourself that I'm the one that can do this. I'm the one that can pull this off. And also, I tell a lot of entrepreneurs I speak with is it's not just about always be selling, which is something that we always talk about and a lot of people hear, but you also have to be open and willing to listen. Because if you take on an investor, you have to be open and honest with yourself that, hey, they might have a differing opinion. They might see a different perspective or a different market that I haven't even considered. And maybe you should just kind of take a step back and be like, wait, for the better of my brand and my expansion plan, maybe it's best that I listen. You don't have to necessarily take it, but it's certainly
Mhm.
good to always have that different perspective that you might not be thinking of on closing off. So, to go back to your original question, you have to sell yourself because you're the one that's created this. You're the one that's going to be pushing it out there, and you're going to be potentially leading an entire team, however many individuals that is at the end of the day, to hopefully really great green pastures, if you will, of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So you need to be able to sell yourself and also convey and pull off and prove I am the one that can execute this and get it done. There's no one else that you're going to be dealing with. It's me. And I think that's what will hook either a shark or an investor because they see you, and if they can resonate with you and who you are and your backstory, a lot of times our sharks will say, I see me in you. I see how much of a hustler
Right,
you are. Because our sharks
right.
are not billionaires by chance. They put in the work. They're self-made. So it resonates with them. It resonates with our viewers and our customers and whatnot. So I definitely think that plays a huge part because if you are not the one that is able to sell yourself, no one's going to get behind you and back your business.
Yeah, that's obviously very consistent with what I've seen working with and coaching entrepreneurs. And you mentioned the backstory. I think that's another key factor is like, why are you really interested
Yeah.
in doing this? We had a competition through UCI earlier this year here in Orange County. And the winner of that competition was a gentleman who developed a medical device you could put on the wrist of an infant for early detection of autism.
Oh, wow.
And he got into it because his child had autism. And the data proved that if you could detect autism early, just even by a matter of months, it could dramatically affect the quality of life for the
Right.
entire lifetime
Yeah.
of the person. And he was so passionate about this, he developed the device. We won the competition. And
That's
he was uniquely qualified to pull it off, but he also had the passion
yeah.
to demonstrate that he was very serious and committed to make this business a reality.
Yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I would say majority of entrepreneurs have that aha moment, and it relates to why they are creating this product and business and going on the journey they're going on. And I think for most entrepreneurs these days, story precedes almost the product itself because now brands are being marketed for their story. That kind of comes first in marketing materials or TikToks and whatnot as the brand. And you also want to support small businesses and founders that you believe in, that you want to support versus the corporates that have been around for generations and whatnot. And so to be able to see yourself in someone that's creating a brand, I think really resonates with the young demos these days, especially the up and coming Gen Alpha and whatnot. They're very much tapping into more analog products that were around in my childhood, like the camera and old VHS tapes and everything like that. But it's a testament to, again, doesn't matter how old you are, what your backstory is. You could be working a job as a doctor and come up with something overnight that is bigger than you. But that's the great thing about innovation and entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. One other aspect of the back and forth with the Sharks is on the latter stage of the segment when they're doing the negotiation, and if they got traction, they're getting multiple offers. And I've always coached people say that not all money is equal. Some money is better than others.
Right.
And I wonder what you've seen there and what advice you would give people who are shopping their business, who are getting traction in interest of multiple investors, about how to deal with those investors, how to find out who is really the best investor to partner with.
I would just say
Go
do
forward.
your homework. I'm not one to really give advice on where people should be getting investment from. That's not my job. But I would say is always do your homework, do your research. Look at the brands that they've invested in, look at their messaging, look at what they stand for. Does that resonate with you and your brand? Because you want to align on a lot of things to have someone that's going to back you. So I would say just research is key when you're looking and reviewing at different offers.
I know a lot of times when the Sharks are selling themselves, they talk about, oh, I can help you go to market. I have these distribution channels. I just have to plug you in. I mean, in reality, those are real value add
Oh,
things.
yes.
It's not just, hey, I'm giving you money, making it happen yourself. I'm truly going to partner with you and be an integral part of your go-to-market strategy.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, the Sharks add a different layer of value. It's not just a quick check that's being cut like in Silicon Valley or anything like that. It's their connections, their retailers, their entire universe that they have helped built and curate over decades at this point for many of them. And so certainly if they want someone to work with them, they'll probably drop their equity or get creative in their counter offers. But at the end of the day, they definitely bring a different value because they can fuel a rocket to go at light speed almost overnight if the deal closes and it takes off.
Just one other thing I'd like to ask you about regarding Shark Tank is, especially these days, there's so much entrepreneurship around AI, around apps, around intangible products, things that you cannot kick. But it seems like when we're watching Shark Tank, there's more of an emphasis on the tangible
Yeah, we
products.
certainly
And I'm just wondering what the thinking is about that. Is that more of an entertainment value aspect, or is there a statement in there
there's no
about?
statement. It's a real reflection of where the economy and industry is at each season. It's a reflection of where ingenuity and innovation lies. So in the past, we've had certainly apps come in and different technology companies that have a consumer aspect. For Shark Tank, it's really you need to have a consumer aspect because that's who is watching our show, and that's going to hopefully turn some people into customers for those brands. But at the end of the day, B2B doesn't really work, and certainly medical device companies don't really work on Shark Tank because again, we need this consumer aspect. But with the rise of AI and those types of things, that you might see more of that in the coming seasons. We just finished filming season 18 2 weeks ago, and that'll be airing this fall on ABC and Hulu. But certainly we pride ourselves on casting for Shark Tank is because we're at the forefront of kind of what is coming up and coming and trending. We pride ourselves on we're going to introduce something to the majority of the country that watches our show that doesn't necessarily know about what it is. We've always kind of been 2 steps ahead of potentially the rest of the country to introduce various topics and products and
Yeah.
whatnot. And
Well,
so,
that's really what makes it very
yeah,
interesting. You're going to learn something
you'll always learn
every time.
something.
You'll learn
18 years
something you
in,
never
I'm
thought of before, right?
18 years in, I'm still learning things every year. I never thought I would be so grateful and lucky, but I certainly am. But yeah, every year is a reflection of where the industries are at and a reflection of what people can expect.
Mindy, you've done such a great job with Shark Tank, and you really are a pioneer in the whole casting domain for these TV shows. Because I think I mentioned in the intro, it's not just Shark Tank you've been involved with, right? You're doing The Bachelorette, Pop Culture Jeopardy. I can't think of a more different casting pool. When you think about Pop Culture Jeopardy, you juxtapose it with Shark Tank. That's two totally different pools of talent
Oh,
you're
it is. It's 100%. But the best thing about my job is that's what makes my job so fun is I get to meet people from all walks of life for all different types of shows. And you mentioned earlier in the intro that, yeah, I haven't even truly announced. It's been teased on social media, but I am launching a casting company called Cast Lab by MZ.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's,
Tell us
yeah,
about that,
yeah,
please.
so it's funny because some people in the past have told me that I'm an entrepreneur and I've never considered myself or looked at myself as such. But now I'm like, oh, I think the bug is finally catching up with me after
Oh,
8
okay.
years.
After how many tens of thousands of entrepreneurs it finally
Yep.
triggered,
But
huh?
mine's obviously in the casting world. And so Cast Lab by MZ is a casting platform where brands, commercials, digital, unscripted shows can come to us and we will be able to give them talent for unscripted television, YouTube channels, commercials, user-generated content. Because obviously a lot of the industry is now working with the YouTube side of things and digital and vertical. So Cast Lab MZ is able to help with those casting needs and also help with consulting businesses for entrepreneurs who might need to work on a marketing video and they need advice or insight. And so we're an all-in-one type of platform that where everyone can utilize. But yeah, it's a wild thing to work in casting, but it's the best thing I ever could have potentially fallen into because I didn't seek out casting. I just needed a job 20 some odd years ago and landed a job as a casting assistant and was like, wait a minute, I can travel and talk to people and this is awesome. And
It's too
it
good to be true.
it worked out. And it's interesting because
Why do
like
you think it is about you that makes it such a good fit?
I think what makes it such a good fit is I just love talking to people and learning about their stories and their journeys. I could sit on Zooms, and I do most days, and just interview people. But for me, it's finding out where they came from, how they've kind of developed into this person, whether it's as an entrepreneur and a business owner for Shark Tank, or how they learned all this random pop culture knowledge while they're being a doctor in the ER, but yet you know all this pop culture stuff, or a dating show. It's really at the core of casting is finding all these layers of humans and finding something that makes them special and unique. And everyone has it. You just have to be able to unlock it. And I'm so fortunate that I get that. And I just love learning and telling people stories and sharing it on whatever show it is.
That is such a great tale about leadership because I've been doing this Leadership on podcast for a little over a year now. We've done about 30 episodes. We just published a book. And one of the main themes that have come out about leadership is the most successful leadership is human-centered leadership that really focuses on the individual and bringing out the best in
Yeah.
the individual, whether the individual is a future leader, whether they have a unique talent, whether they have a hidden talent, and giving them the support and the platform to basically become the absolute best person they can be. And I think that's what I heard you describing there. It's finding these people, they're hidden out there somewhere, and giving them a platform where they can demonstrate just what unique talent and unique individual they truly are. That
Absolutely.
yeah. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's my
And,
pleasure. I
and it
love what
sounds
I
like you're
do.
going to keep doing it and even doing it on a bigger scale.
Yes, that's the hope. Again, because everyone has a story, everyone has plays a part in this world, and it's just I tell everyone, "Oh, you think you might be good for one show, but really in reality you might be a better fit for another show you don't even know that's coming." And so we always keep people in the back of our minds because everyone's, "Oh, I didn't make it on Shark Tank." I'm like, "That's okay. There might be a better show that comes up. That's a better fit that you had no idea." And then people go on and do really well. So I'm just really fortunate and grateful that people trust me with their stories and their journeys, but it's to be celebrated on whatever platform, whatever show. And I absolutely love what I would do. And I would I would not change a thing so far.
Okay, well, it sounds like we should be looking forward to some cross-pollination here, like a Shark Tank meets Survivor, something like that.
You never know.
You
We're
never
always
know.
throwing things up over here. So
In
yeah,
some back room, someone's thinking about how to connect the dots there.
yeah.
Look, Mindy, one of the things I always say is we have a successful episode of Leadership Art if there's at least one key takeaway that the audience can walk away with to enhance their own leadership style or enhance their impact. We've covered a lot of ground here. What would you say that one key takeaway is you'd like to leave the audience with?
When it comes to leadership, I think the biggest takeaway is be open to listening. Because even though you might not like what you hear, there's value in people's feedback to you, and there's value in you listening to the people that you're leading, because then you become a stronger team. And at the end of the day, no one is anything without their team, in my opinion. The casting team runs on 12 people, and it's not, I might be leading the team, but it's the team that brings the whole show to life. So certainly just be open to listening, and then you become a stronger leader.
No, that's great advice. And we're just about out of time here, Mindy. I had a great time speaking with you. This was a wonderful episode. Thank you very much for being a guest.
Thank you again. This was lovely.
It was. And yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch and keep watching your shows and look forward to more inspiring, entertaining stories on Shark Tank.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Again, as always, I want to thank our listeners and followers for joining us and for your continued support. And also, if you want to read about more inspiring stories, check out our new book, which is Leadership Art, Certain Leadership in an Age of Uncertainty, which is now available on Amazon. So until the next episode of Leadership Art, this is your host, Art Robbins. And remember, it's your lead.